Following the recent Assassin's Creed Infinity leaks that I covered the other day, Tom Henderson, a prolific Assassin's Creed leaker with an insanely credible track record, has come out with a lot more, and I mean a lot, of gameplay details for Assassin's Creed Red, such as an overhaul of parkour, combat and stealth, a completely new approach at the game engine, an in-depth base building mechanic, and more. There's an absolute ton of info to digest here, so if you're new to this channel, you like what you see, you want to stay up to date with everything Assassin's Creed Infinity, Red, and the future of AC, consider pressing the subscribe button. The original article is available at Insider Gaming, and I will leave a link in the description. Unless you've been living under a rock this past year or so, you'll know that Assassin's Creed Red is the next mainline Assassin's Creed title to release later this year. Officially, we don't know much apart from the game being set in feudal Japan, and will be connected to the Infinity Hub, a central launcher for the Assassin's Creed franchise moving forward. On the other hand, leaks and reports have shed light on what to expect, including our own reporting that revealed the title will have two protagonists, Naoe and Yasuke. Today I wanted to dive a bit deeper into the gameplay mechanics and engine of Red, because frankly, it seems like it's being built for a new era of the franchise. To start, the Assassin's Creed franchise as a whole isn't moving to a new engine necessarily, but will be using a substantial evolution of it named the Anvil pipeline. Sources explained that the Anvil pipeline allows all of the various Assassin's Creed studios, of which there are many, to work from one unified branch, rather than having different versions and branches. This means moving forward, Assassin's Creed will benefit visually from the lines of ray-traced global illumination and virtual geometry. So as we read there, it's not a new game engine for the next few Assassin's Creed games, but it's an upgraded one, the Anvil pipeline. Now, firstly, off the bat, you'd start to think, well, that sounds like a bit of a worry, because we need a new engine, especially after the way the parkour system's gone, and, you know, this is meant to be the next big current-gen exclusive. You'd think it should definitely have a new engine. Well, yeah, I do agree with you on that point, but at the same time, I wouldn't be too concerned due to the fact that it's just an upgraded engine of what we've already got. Now, for an example why this isn't too much of a worry, look at the creation engine from Bethesda Game Studios. Morrowind was on the creation engine. Skyrim and Starfield are also on the creation engine. Now, those games look night and day when it comes to technological prowess. It's on the same engine, but it's an upgraded version. So in regards to Assassin's Creed Red and the Infinity Live service as a whole, I would imagine it to be something like that. It seems this is going to be a very refined game engine which has been created based off of the engine they already have. It's going to look and feel a lot different, and some might even be confused in thinking it is a completely new engine, because again, I do think it's going to be drastically upgraded from what we're reading here. On top of that, the pipeline sounds like it's going to be a tailored engine towards the Infinity service. Now, this makes a lot of sense because if there's a lot of different Assassin's Creed teams working on different Assassin's Creed games, you don't want the quality to drop and rise between different Assassin's Creed titles. You need a bit of coherency. So I think that's the main idea of this engine. For it to be collaboratively worked on between all the different Ubisoft teams working on Assassin's Creed games, so there's this sort of unity between the Assassin's Creed titles we receive. Especially seeing these Assassin's Creed games are going to be coming out very soon after the other. We've got 10 years and I think almost 10 games to come out. That's one almost every year at this point. And because of that, again, you need to have some sort of cohesion between all the different teams. As well as that, the more people that work on an engine, the more progress you're going to see quicker. The better the graphics and performance are going to look on a quicker turnaround. We might start to see bigger jumps between graphical fidelity between Assassin's Creed titles. And that's something Ubisoft have been lacking for the last over 10 years at this point, because you've got Unity and Syndicate and Origins and Odyssey and Valhalla and Mirage. They all look the same when it comes to graphics. We need visual progress, I do think. The move to the Anvil pipeline has meant that the teams have had to completely overhaul everything in the series too, including animations, its parkour system, dynamic weather, and more. This paragraph leads me into the next point I wanted to talk about. Just because we're in the same game engine doesn't mean we're going to have the same parkour, doesn't mean we're going to have the completely same combat system, doesn't mean the game's going to feel exactly like Valhalla, for example. And by the sounds of it, with the Anvil pipeline meaning they've had to completely overhaul everything, there is a big chance we're going to get the best parkour system we've ever had in the series. Now to me, the perfect parkour system is going to be a blend between control and fluidity. Have the control that you had in the Ezio games AC1, but with a balance of the fluidity that we got in Assassin's Creed Unity. So you can fly from rooftop to rooftop, but when you really need to get into the nitty-gritty of climbing a tower, you have to really think about where you need to move and think about it tactically, almost like a platformer. Because realistically, that means we get to have Assassin 2 missions back. And if we have Assassin 2 missions back, I will drop my... Whoa, no. Okay, let's move on. Combat in Assassin's Creed Red was described to me as being somewhat similar to Valhalla, but featuring a lot more gore, including blood and decapitations. Stealth also plays a major role in Red, somewhat akin to Splinter Cell. The player can extinguish torches, hide in tall grass and bushes, and even go prone whenever they please. So, Tom has said combat will be very similar to Valhalla. I think the reason they're going for this again is because, in their eyes, it works. There are definitely critiques about the combat in Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, and Mirage, but to the mainstream, to the masses that play, it works well. There's not too many complaints, and it's a sound system on their end. So again, I think the combat will look a lot different, and in turn might make it feel different, but the fundamentals of the gameplay mechanic itself will remain the same. You know, the same sort of buttons to do certain power attacks, etc. Probably going to bring back abilities as well. But again, it's going to look different. It's probably going to feel something similar to maybe Ghost of Tsushima in the way of the animations. Or I could be completely wrong and it could play just like Valhalla. You know, time will tell at the end of the day. Now, stealth, by the sounds of it, is going to be made a much more tactical gameplay mechanic. Really thinking how you're going to use stealth to your advantage, how you're going to interact with the environment in certain ways, again, to your advantage to get the upper hand on the enemy without them even knowing it. Now, I'm going to show some Splinter Cell gameplay on screen right now. From me, someone who loves stealth games, this is perfect. You know, more stealth, please. I'll take it. I'm also going to throw up some gameplay from The Last of Us 2 on screen right now. I know it's a completely different game, but when you go prone, like you can see right now, I imagine, you know, the interaction between going prone and sneaking up on enemies might be somewhat similar in AC Red. I also very much like the sound of extinguishing torches, because again, you're using the environment and your surroundings to your advantage. It's not just one area that you sneak through, hide behind walls, and get to the end. It's, okay, what can I do to make this easier or harder? And it also boosts replayability. The more interactable the environments, the more options you have to do different things, and the more you might want to go back and play it again to see what different route you could take, which I really like. Footage provided to Insider Gaming under the condition that the footage does not go public also showed a major evolution to the Valhalla settlement feature. In Red, players will be able to build their settlement in a big way named the Hideout. The Hideout is where the player will be able to build, at their own will, the likes of an armory, dojo, altar, and more. These buildings are customizable too, from being able to pick the building location, to being able to choose your roof design, to the interior layout and where you can display the likes of your weapons and armor. Overall, the Assassin's Creed franchise is taking a gigantic leap, and our first glimpse will be with Assassin's Creed Red, which is set to be revealed in the coming months. So, settlement building. Now, this sounds to me like it could be a mix of what we did have in Valhalla with Ravensthorpe, and potentially some sort of base building system that we got in the likes of Starfield and Fallout 4 and 76, giving the player in Assassin's Creed Red much more agency to be able to build their settlement how they want it to. Again, this is going to boost replayability. This is also good for Ubisoft as a company because people will be sharing their different settlements and how they look. That's really good marketing for them. And I won't lie, I kind of like the sound of this. Not that I'm a massive base building fan, and it's not something I do fanatically in any game, but I feel like the settlement in Valhalla was missing something. It almost did feel to me like a test run. This is what it could be, a proof of concept for a future Assassin's Creed game. And judging off what I'm reading here, that's probably exactly what it is, and with Assassin's Creed Red, it's going to majorly expand on what we did have in Valhalla, taking inspiration from other games. Now, I'm very curious to know to what extent you can build this base, this settlement. How big can it be? Are there confined boundaries to the world where it will say, you know, you can't build build as far as this. I assume so, but again, with all this information, only time will tell. And it's all speculation based off of this little information that we have from Tom Henderson, until in the coming months, according to Tom Henderson, we see more Assassin's Creed Red and potentially gameplay. So what do you guys think about this? Do you think it sounds good or does it sound bad? Let me know in the comments and we'll get a discussion going and build the AC community. Personally for me, I like the sound of what I'm reading here. Of course, I understand that the execution sometimes doesn't end up as good as the concept, so we'll just have to wait and see before we can get excited, or at least that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not getting my hopes up with Assassin's Creed Red because I started to do that near the end of Mirage and I was disappointed. If you're interested why, you can check out my 1-hour in-depth critique on Mirage. But overall, it does sound promising to say the very least, and I am excited to see where it goes. If you did enjoy this video and want to stay up to date with everything Assassin's Creed, then you can subscribe to stay in the loop. My Twitter and Instagram are both linked down below. I love you guys, mate, the father of understanding guiders. I will see you soon. And remember, we work in the shadows to serve the light.